Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Keith. How's things?
Yeah, very good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, everybody. People are just coming online, so we'll just get going now in a second. I'm just going to fire up my PowerPoint because it just decided to crash the minute we said start broadcast, which is always a good sign. But it's only PowerPoint, so let's give it a second. Why is that and that? There we go. Okay. All right. So go away. No, I'm not giving you any feedback on why it crashed. So now, we have a good few people joined online there. So we're just at 10 o'clock. So we'll just give a second. Let me share my screen. Share screen. And it's entire screen. And it's that one. Hide that. Okay. All right. So, okay, everybody, you can see my screen, Keith. Yeah, you can see
Yeah,
that.
it all looks good.
Oh, that's good. All right. So I think we have a lot of people in now. So we'll get going on our forums and reporting webinar. So we're just at the 10 o'clock. So good morning, everybody. My name is Kieran Kirk. I'm the operations director with IMGS and Data Builders. I know I can see there's a few IMGS customers out there, and there's a few data builders customers there as well. So for those who aren't sure, data builders is the new brand for IMGS as part of our data driven focus solutions that we are now providing. And then IMGS is the old GIS brand. With me this morning, delighted to have one of our lead application engineers, Keith Duffy. Morning, Keith.
Thank you very much for having me today.
Great stuff. So Keith's going to do all the heavy lifting. I'm just going to do a few simple slides, and then Keith's going to show you some of the very cool stuff we're doing now when it comes to data capture and form building. So as I mentioned, the Data Builders platform, it consists of three main components. FME, which is our data integration solution, which we'll talk about today. Sisense is our analytics and visualization platform, and Data Galaxy provides our data governance system. This morning, what we're seeing with organizations that they need new levels of flexibility, and embracing the new data landscape and technology is crucial to business growth. So, and actually, even though we talk about these kind of bigger picture, digital transformation and big messages and a lot of talk around it, today actually shows how you can do real transformation in organizations with some very simple technology. And that's what we're going to show today with our form builder. So even today, data capture our challenges for enterprise today. We still have customers who are doing things on paper. So we're not yet, even I'm in the industry 25 years or so now, we're still talking about getting to a paperless office, and we still haven't got there, which is mad, really mad, but it's still happening that we're still automating paper workflows for customers. Also, because people want to do real-time analytics and real-time insights, data needs to be captured at source and at time of execution. And that data currency is key for your reporting. So organizations require a data capture solution and reporting solution that is flexible to support all potential workflows, can be used anywhere by anyone, is cost effective, and can output analytics in any format. And that system is FME. FME now, with its range of applications, provides that capability. So with FME, there are three main components. There's been a wee bit of branding, as we know, in the recent time. So what was FME Desktop is now called FME Form. So there you can build and run your data workflows. FME Flow, which was Server, is there to do your automation and automate those data workflows. And then we've got FME Flow Hosted, which is FME Flow or Server in the cloud. With FME, we can connect the data anywhere. We can transform our data, and then we can automate it through Server. That's the three fundamental components of FME. Now, with FME, we have, for a number of years, we've had FME server apps. So FME server apps are very clever. You can do lots of things to capture information. Originally, they were designed to just be able to provide a way for in an automated workflow to allow a user to pass in parameters. So if they were running an analytic or running a data extract, at the start, it was just, okay, well, let's just pass in a parameter to specify the output type of the file. or to set the buffer zone on a feature, or the amount of records, or whatever we wanted to do as a parameter. But then very quickly, FME and ourselves realized, well, hold on, we're creating these nice web forms to take in as parameters for workflows, but actually those parameters is also data. So we can capture data using the same mechanism. So it kind of, I'm not sure if safe meant it, but because they were publishing their server apps with the ability to publish parameters, that then opened up that they could garnish information and capture information. And they've made that really clever now, so that you can create these little server apps that can capture information, use drop-down lists, upload a file, upload whatever it is you want, to attribution to a database using your FME workflow. And actually, if I've created a link, which I'll stick in the chat after when Keith starts speaking, there's a very simple app to create a little form that we can share with you, the link that Safe has shared. So if you want to create a simple data entry app with FME server apps, we can show you the link. There's a nice little tutorial on it, and away you go. And it works for a lot of cases. For people who just want to create simple information, FME off the shelf can get that far. So we then brought that to our customers, and then they said, okay, that's great, but we want a little bit more complexity. So we want to be able to create a data entry app that has more complexity in the forms, with a bit more logic, so that the drop-down list can be a bit more smarter, that we can have some validation to make sure that users aren't putting text in numeric fields, or that they're putting in date ranges that don't work. So they wanted this extra level of validation and of data entry to take it to another level, to build on the technology that is in the FME server app off the shelf, but add a little bit more complexity. But without a key thing was not to turn it into a programming solution, to deliver this form builder, as we call it, as a low code or no code solution. And that's what we were tasked with. And that's what Keith has brought us today, is a solution where we can take that core functionality in FME, but then add in the ability to have a bit more complexity to create more advanced forms without programming. And Keith, with that, I'm going to hand over to you to show the guys what we're talking about. So let me see, I'll stop sharing.
Lovely. Thanks for that
Across.
introduction. Okay, let me just start sharing my screen there.
And while you're doing that, I'll get that link and put it in the chat for anybody who wants to see how they do the old school forms using FME.
Okay, just let me know when you can see that there.
I can see it there, Keith, yeah.
Great. Okay, right. So I think with this, probably the best way to begin is to probably show you from the end and then work our way back, and then we'll build out the form from the start. I just find sometimes it can be a little bit hard to understand why we're doing certain things or why we're making certain decisions without having seen the finished product. So what I'll do is we will log into our gallery app, and I'll show you what it looks like to begin with. So let me just stick in. Okay, so we've logged into our little custom gallery app that we have here. We've got our form builder application, and we have our demo table. So what I'll do at this point is I will just show you very quickly the table that we're working with. Here's our database in the background. So we just have this demo table here, this one that I'm just highlighting there on the left, and very simple table just to kind of show the different things that we can do. We have an ID here, a text field, a number field, and then we've got two foreign key fields. So these are going to be our demo of a dynamic drop down. So what these are going to do is this is going to save the ID of our demo drop down tables. So if we were to just have a quick look at that. Here's our very simple demo drop down table. We have our ID and our description, and we've just got drop down 1 down all the way to 6, and then very same for drop down 2. So what we can do is we can start building out a form using this table, and we'll show you what the finished form looks like, and then we'll work our way back again. So I'll just go into our demo table here, and I can go and I can do a capture. So here we have our text field, like we just saw there, number field, foreign key 1 and 2, and then our date field and a checkbox field at the bottom. So I'll just fill in and capture a bit of data. And we'll go with the theme of what's happening at the moment on our Irish treasure of Johnny Sexton as our test name. And just stick in any old data here. And we'll just select this, the 10th, and we'll just check it. So now we've submitted that data. So if we go and have a look now in the database, just rerun our query. There's our new data after coming in there. So then once we've captured data, what we can do is we can go and now we can select to do an edit. So if I went in and select edit, then now it's my time to choose what feature I want to edit. So we've got our data coming from the table there with just some way for a human to very easily recognize a particular row in the data and to make that edit accordingly. So for the moment, I've just stuck in the text field, the ID of the row, and then the date that was in that row. So if we clicked on that there and go into continue, it's going to pull in all our data from that row to make an edit. So I guess now that we've seen the finished product, we'll now jump back to the start and we'll build this table out. So let me just quickly clear the database of any of the data. Okay, so I just want to make sure I've cleared out all the data. Lovely. So if we were to just go back to our login screen there again. Now we just have our form builder. So that demo table is now gone. So let's start building out our workspaces, or talking through them at least, and then we'll see where we get to. So the first workspace that we're going to need to build out our form is our posting or saving workspace. So this is going to take our data from the form and put it in the database. So what we're doing here is we've just set up some user parameters on this workspace. If we just go in and have a look, you might notice a recurring theme here. If we have all the exact same data here, we're just mapping them one-to-one to the database. So we have our ID here, which is just a number field, and we have a text field. And then we can also use the power of the FME published parameters to select if we want it to be required and do some other configurations here. So we've got a number field here, which is just an int at the moment. Then we've got our choice field, which is our foreign key 1. But the difference here is that we actually don't set up any configuration now, because we're going to be doing that in the form builder. If we were to set up our configuration here, we would just have a static list, and any new data added to the table is going to be stuck in time, and you're going to need somebody to come back in and update this every time new data is added. So we're going to skip this part and we'll configure that later on. Same with our foreign key 2, and then we've got our date field and our checkbox. So what we're doing is we are just pulling in that data, and then we're just going to run a quick test to see if we've received an ID or not. If we've received an ID, it means that we're updating a particular row. So we're going to take this route down here. And then if we are making a new capture, we're not going to have an ID. So we're going to take this route up here. And then we're just going to say, we're just connecting up a database writer to our database and our table. And we're just going to, again, here's all the exact same fields. So that's going to write to the table. So once we have this, all we need to do is publish this up to FME server. So I'll just do that now. Right, so that's our first workspace up on the server. So the next workspace we need to look at is the workspace that is going to give us that nice human readable way to determine what particular rows we're editing. So if we just look at this little example up here, we have our database table. And then what we want to do is create this little JSON object that contains the same data as our table, but just in a more easily readable value. So easily readable way. So we have there the name and a date, and then in the background, what it's going to use is the actual ID of that.
Is it me or have we lost Keith?
Yeah, I think Keith has frozen there. I'm going to send him a message maybe to refresh.
Okay, well, I'll interrupt while Keith is coming back on his connection. So again, like so we've seen the first workspace where pretty much using vanilla FME, we have created the publish parameters to do the data capture. But again, with our form builder solution, then we're able to add a little bit more smarts on the end than what you would get with the off-the-shelf FME. Also in your workspace, in the first workspace that Keith showed, we were able to, it's a very simple workflow to take the data, to bring it in, and then to save it. But of course, it doesn't have to just be the one table, it doesn't have to be, it can be as complex a workflow as you want, because then once you get the data from the form, you're open up then to whatever it is in FME you want to do with that data. You can write it straight to a table, you can write to 5 tables, you can send an email. It's really up to you. And that's all driven by the workspace. So we're not prohibitive in how we're showing you how we can bring the data in with FME through the publish form, through the form builder. But then it's down to the power of the workspace to what you actually do with your information when you get there. Hey, Keith, are you back?
Yep, we're back again.
No bother. I was able to do my usual
Did I
jazz
drop out
hands
for a
filling
second
in.
there?
You were literally explaining the JSON readable file, how it's make it readable, but it was hard to say, I think, yeah. And then I went over.
Okay, hold on, I'll jump back again real quick.
Yeah.
So
Thanks.
yeah, sorry. So what we did is we're just creating this text value, which is just the value of our text field and our date field. And then we're just putting that in our JSON templater. So we've just got our ID, our text field, and our date field. So what you might notice here as well is we've got it all color coded. So what we've done is we've color coded these for users that aren't quite up to speed with FME, and you can open up a workspace and get a little bit lost as where changes need to be made. So what we've done is we've color coded these so that the green transformers here are the only transformers we really need to update at all. All the rest of them, you could just copy this workspace and make the updates to these couple of transformers, and then the rest of it could be left alone without any changes. So yeah, just publish this up to the workspace. Okay, so that's our second out of 4 workspaces that we need. So the next workspace, again, we just show a little example up here at the top. If we look, we've got our database table on the left here with our drop downs. And then what we want to actually create as our little JSON object, we're just pulling in the text, the description field there. And again, we've just got the IDs in the background. So this is pretty much the same workspace as we just went through before. Again, we're just pulling in our data from that drop-down table. There's our demo drop-down, sorting them, removing any unnecessary attributes. Or sorry, in here we're just building our JSON object. So we just have our ID and our description. And then we're feeding them into the JSON templater, which will just package it up so we can send that to the front end. So we can publish this now. This is our demo dropdown 1 list get. And then finally our dropdown 2. So this is the exact same as the last one. Again, we've just got our database table and our JSON object. And we've got all the same transformers, and we're just passing that to the front end. So we'll publish this up now. Okay, so that's our 4 workspaces needed. For every form that we build, we need we've got one more workspace, but for every form that we build, we're going to need our saving workspace, which it has our publish parameters. That's going to take our data from the form and save it in the database. Then we have our edit list, which gives our users a nice human readable way to edit records. Then we have our 2 drop-down API workspaces, which just deliver our data from the drop-down tables to the form. And then finally, we just need our workspace that serves our form to the front end. So we just go in here, we've got our form config demo. So again, we've got it nice and color coded. A lot of this we don't need to touch, but what we're basically doing is pulling in our form name and an ID if we're getting one. If we're going to make an edit, what we're going to do is come down and test and see if we have an ID. Once we get that ID, we can go and grab that row from the database. And then what we're going to do is inject that into the form, and the form gets delivered to the front end. Otherwise, if we don't receive an ID, we're just going to take this route up the top, and you're going to receive an empty form on the front end. So very simple workspace. Just publish this up now. Okay, so that is all our workspaces published up to FME server. So the next step is to tell the system that we have our workspaces up and to add them into the form builder. So what we've done is we've created this little FME server app that we can paste in our webhooks from our workspaces, and then that adds it into the system. So we just run through the ones that the workspace that we've published already. So the first one was our forms workspace. This is the demo table. So what we can do is we can click on this and go down to advanced and create a webhook. So what this is going to do is give us a URL that we can just run the workspace straight away. So if we were to just, as a little example, go to our API workspace and to one of our drop-down lists, and I was just create a webhook here, and we'll just grab the whole URL. And if I paste that in here and just log in, what we notice is there's our JSON object being delivered to the front end. So this is what the form builder is going to see, and it's going to format this into a nice human readable way. So just a nice little test to make sure we're working. So what we want to do is start by grabbing creating a workspace from our first, or creating a webhook from our first workspace. So let's just go in and create a webhook, and we're just going to grab this little bit here. And then I'm just going to open this in a new tab. So this is the first API URL that we're going to add in, and this is going to be, we'll call this demo table save. This is going to be our saving workspace. So let's run that. And that's been added into the system. So then we're going to go and we're going to do the same thing for our edit list. There's our demo table edit list. Create our webhook. Just grab the URL. And this is going to be demo table edit list. So then we have 2 more that we need to add in. Just go to workspaces. So it's our demo dropdown 1. There's our demo drop-down 1 list. We'll run that. And then our demo drop-down 2 list. Okay, so now what we've done is we've created all our workspaces and we published them all up to the server. We've created webhooks of those workspaces and added them into the system. So the next step is to actually go and build a form. So let's just log in here. Let's put in the wrong password.
Just proves it's live, Keith.
Yeah, it does. There you go. Okay, so let's jump into our form builder then. And let's have a look. So now that we've added up our posting workspace or our saving workspace, the first one we did, this is going to read that directory and we can see that we've got our demo table here. So now it's time to configure the demo table. So we're just going to give it a name, call it demo table. So then here's where we configure our choices. So this is our URL for our edit choices. So we just want to go and grab that demo table edit list. And then our URL for our save workspace. So that's going to be our demo table save. So then we're just going to configure our text field. So just a little bit of validation. So we'll just put in a max or a min of 1 character and a max of 20. Our number fields don't need any sort of configuration because that's done at the FME side. Then our foreign key 1 field. So we're going to get our demo drop-down 1 list. And our foreign key 2 will be the demo drop-down 2 list. And then our dates and our checkboxes are also configured.
And that demo, that foreign key 1 and 2 key, just on that one, that's where you're then saying it has to be, they can only pick a value from the other related table, isn't it? That's what you're enforcing, that integrity. Is that what's happening there?
Yeah, but what this is doing is connecting up that little workspace that we built that'll go and grab our, let me just pull up the table again real quick. So we've got our database table here with our demo drop-down 1. So what this is going to do is we're just telling this foreign key 1 field here that we want to grab the workspace that we built to deliver a little JSON object of that data to the form.
Understand. Yeah. So and then that way the user can only enter that correct data. They can't pick fields that aren't allowed. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So we generate our form, and there's a preview of what our form is going to look like on the front end. So the next step we need to do is to actually tell the gallery app about this new form. So if we just jump in here to run workspace, we have this other FME server app here, add gallery app. So we just click in there. And I'm just going to give it a name, demo table, and a label. And then what I just do is I just put the name in this little webhook URL as well that we have. And then I could just give it an icon. That was just an icon I grabbed off Flaticon there earlier on, just as an example. And then we can run. So now this is going to add our little new app, which is our form, into the gallery app. So we'll just go back to the login.
So kind of the administrator creates the form, or the power user creates the form, but then the form for the capture to the normal people is then shared via this gallery app, who can then, anybody can get at it. Don't have to get into normal FME. They just log into the gallery app, whatever authentication they use.
Yeah, users only ever need to come here. And another thing as well, I forgot to mention, is if we are, if let's just run that again, we can also select if we want it to be an admin only app or form. So this can start to look at different user roles, and only certain users with certain roles can see certain apps. So at the moment, we've got the form builder locked under an admin role that I'm logged in as, and then our demo table, another user with less permissions might come in, but they'd only see the demo table. So you can start to configure who gets to see what forms.
And you could also use that admin workflow that they could then be used if they needed to like you have a form to update the drop-down list for other forms, so that you can kind of connect the circle so that they don't have to go to the database to change a drop-down list. They could actually use an admin form to go, actually we have a new type, so we want to add that extra type in or whatever. So yeah, like it could be used to help manage the other part of the process as well. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So now that we've built our form, built our little gallery app, we can now go in and make a capture. So let's just run a quick test. Here's our drop downs coming in there. So drop down 1 all the way to 6. And there's our second drop down coming through. And we'll just save. So there's our data saved. So now what we can do is we can go in and do an edit and make sure our list is coming in. There's our John McGrath that we just added in there a second ago. So that tells me that the data is coming from the database in real time as soon as an addition is made. So we can go in and make an edit, and then we can see all our data is being injected into the form now, being pulled from the database. So what I can do now is we'll just add another row here and just make sure that it's coming in okay. So we'll just call this new drop down. I'll just save. Okay, and then we'll just reload the form. And there's our new drop down after coming in there.
And that's the value of what we're doing here with the live feed of the API of the FME reading that data. Like in a standard FME server app, you can publish a drop-down list, but you can't have it dynamic that it'll change over time. While what you've shown there, because we're reading the table, we're making it dynamic that these fields can always be changing without having to republish the app or start it again or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. The whole power of this is very much dealing with live data in a way that we don't need to keep going back and either getting a programmer to update a new form for us or to get somebody to go into a workspace and update a new form, publish that again. The data is just going to be in real time, and the user will see it straight away as soon as any changes are made in the back end of at the database level. So that is everything from the demo today. Nothing exploded, so I'm happy about that. And as we can see, we can build out forms with dynamic drop downs and give a little bit more power than what FME does just out of the box. So thanks for watching my side of things.
No problem. Thanks, Keith. Let me just
we
stop
did
sharing
have
there. I'll take over.
We did have a question there from Jacinta, actually, just wondering if the content was available for download. I said we will be sending the full webinar recording to everyone that's been on here. It'll be also available on the YouTube as well. So
yeah, and we can share the PowerPoints and things as well if needs to be as well. Yeah. So let me share my screen and that one. Share. Is it the right one? Can you see my
Looks good.
Yeah, screen. Great. Okay, so like now just to finish things off, thanks Keith, that was excellent. So what you've seen there from the FME form builder, as you can see, we can have the client side validation. So Keith was able to, through the form builder, set what rules he wanted to add to that client side to make sure that the users are entering good data, so that they couldn't enter a text field blank, that they have to put in numeric fields that they put in date, or they have to use a drop-down list that's got predefined values. It also means we can complete more complex forms than what you would get with the simple server apps from FME. the code we've built is built to be accessible, so it can run on any device. So phone, tablet, you name it, it'll run there. And everything Keith's done is using this morning is using FME, no coding. So we're able to build these apps, build out this data capture without having to do any code. Other big value of the FME server apps is this is part of your FME server license. There's no additional user cost. So some people might look at other survey systems, which are all client locked, you know, and you need to pay for licenses. With this is all available through your FME product. Once you get your data in, once you have it into FME, of course, that then opens up other what you can actually do with that data. Oh, I think I hit stop sharing there by accident. Did I?
Yeah, just stop there.
Oh, sorry. Share screen. Yeah. So yeah, I meant to hit hide and hit stop sharing. Okay, so you can actually with FME then you can build what you can do with that data. So you can push the data to Word, to Excel, to PDFs. You can output it to things like Power BI, Tableau, whatever you want to do with FME. You're able to then use that information so that you're then garnishing insights. And actually, we have one customer who's just about to go live on taking that data and putting it into an analytics engine with the same workflow we're showing today. And then also, as Keith shows, with FME, with the gallery apps, we can create these self-service portals, which are then user rights driven, who can access them, where they can access them, whether they're in your organization, whether they're mobile, whether they're members of the public, don't have to be staff. These could also be customer survey forms, it could be data capture, anything that really you can think of, you can actually use with this kind of capability. And as I mentioned, once you get your data in, you can then bring that data into a business intelligence platform. We have our Sisense Fusion platform. And as I said, we have a customer who is doing this exact workflow we were showing you this morning, capturing the data with FME, analyzing the data with Sisense. And we'll hopefully have more news about that in the coming weeks once the system goes live. So being able to have that end-to-end solution, taking live insights, taking up information and getting the data together. Okay, I think that's pretty much maybe another question, but I think that that's going to be nearly it for our webinar for today. We do have a couple more data builders webinars coming up. Myself and Gavin are going to be here on the 8th of November to bring you through the latest features in FME, not just 23.0, but also 23.1 that just recently came out in the last 2 weeks. So we'll be showing you some of the new function. Actually, they've improved some of the FME server app menu configuration, things you can do with the drop down list when you're using the off the shelf version. So we'll be talking about that as well and some of the other insights. And then at the end of November, myself and Connor will be back to give you a whirlwind tour of the latest features that have come in Sisense this year. They have monthly releases of the product, so we'll be delighted to bring you some of the latest AI capabilities, but also the new Compose SDK, which is very exciting for building analytic apps. And if you scan that QR code, you can register for those events. But yeah, if you go to databuilders.ie webinars, you can register there as well. And then I think if we have time for questions, or if there is anything else. Oh yeah, can you add a spatial element to the form from Sean? Actually, with the and Cheat, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but with the FME server app, yes, you can. You can pick a location on a map, and you can draw a polygon or drop a point. I'm not sure in our version, Keith, if we have that yet. I think that's only on the FME one, is it? Or
it is coming. It's not there quite yet, but it would be possible, I think.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, so it is already inside the in the FME server apps. You can actually set it to do location, so you can draw a polygon or pick a pinpoint on a map, and that information is then passed back to the workspace. So yeah, both options there, as Keith's saying, and we will have it on our side on the form app pretty soon as well.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions? Anything else, Tanya? Anything else, Commander? We need to cover.
No, I think that's it for questions. If anyone has any last thing they want to put in, now's the time. If not, so we'll follow up obviously with a link to the webinar, and
Gareth
will be, or Karen will be in touch. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. So listen, I'd like to thank Keith for taking time. He's in the middle of a test event this week, so he is had a bit of a busy window to
It was
try
a
and
tight
squeeze this in.
squeeze, yeah.
Yeah. So no, listen, we appreciate the time. I think it's really exciting what we've done there. If anybody would like to see more about the form builder or doing this kind of stuff, I think it's a great option. I think, as I said, there's still lots of people trying to get data from live data feeds from fields, remote offices, from members of the public. So what we can do with FME now, between core FME and the form builder, we're happy to show you guys how to use it. And any other questions, yeah, listen, come back. And thanks everybody for such great attendance again this morning. Our little data webinars are becoming very popular, so hope I see a few familiar faces on the list. So hopefully we'll see you again on the next one. And thanks, Keith, and thanks, Tanya, for organising everything.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Yeah, thanks everyone for showing up. It was a pleasure.
All right.
You.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Have a good day. See you now.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.